Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you guys for downloading this episode from C's Get Degrees. Sit back and relax. We got amazing guest, Michael Rayburn, as he sits down and shows us how to create a millionaire from SEO. Sit back and relax, guys. He's got a dream of making 1,000 millionaires in the next 10 years. So this is definitely a banger and definitely one I want to pay attention to. Once again, C's Get Degrees is offered on all the major networks. So please see Apple, iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio today, and for all you non-audio guys, YouTube. Don't forget about that one. So once again, thank you guys for this recent download. Sit back and relax, enjoy it. Mike is definitely going to jump on here and give us an amazing podcast. So once again, guys, thank you very much. Deuces. We are good to go here. So welcome to the podcast, C's Get Degrees. I'm my co-host, or not co-host. I have my guest, Michael Rayburn. He's the owner of Bullet Proof SEO. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
So what time is it here and where are you from, buddy?
Well, I'm right outside of DC in Maryland, and it's 12:19 p.m.
12:19 p.m. Is it going crazy out there right now, or is it kind of sunny and 60 and sunny like it is here?
It's cool and sunny. Like last night I think got down to 40 something, so starting to cool off a little bit, which is nice. The cooler weather means fun stuff can happen outside as opposed to the humid heat. So kind of sucks the life out of you when you're outside.
Yeah, it's we're starting to get those nights here too. The humidity's dropped. The winds are coming. They're getting a little nasty. I'm actually in Green Bay here, so we're a little bit north of you, a little bit on the United States. But leaves are starting to turn, so she's flipping fast. And obviously, me and you were joking around saying that we love to be in the woods, and you're kind of like in between both industries here. But the guys are starting to roll here in the farming industry, so you got the choppers and the combines, all that stuff going. So it's the favorite time of year for me because I see everything. On the other side of it kind of sucks because my allergies kick in because everyone's cracking everything open.
It's funny because mine are starting to do the same thing too. I started to get that. I always know my allergies are kicking in because you get like that pre-cold feeling that you get like in the back right there.
Yeah.
And my wife says to me, just go take like 3 drops of lemon oil and then, a teaspoon of honey and, it'll make your throat feel better. And, meanwhile, it just burns the shit out of my throat, right? Because it's just straight lemon oil. So
Yeah.
and her answer is that just means you need to do it more, right?
Yeah, there's some other things that we used to use back in the day for that I can't have now. So it's mine common. There's more of like the front, so they're not sinuses. So instead of being congested, I start congested and then they just go. It's like the dam opens.
Right.
So last couple of weeks, I think they flipped, and then we're rolling from there. So they're here, they're back. I just need to be outside more, and I'm actually taking honey on my end of it here to every morning to see if I can counteract it. So I had a whole holistic treatment back in the day to kind of help adjust it, and it worked drastically. So I don't know if you ever been around holistic treatments or not, but it's
well, I try not to take pills too much, right? Like one of my best friends back from North Carolina, he's an 80-year-old gentleman, but he's known as the most influential painter and sculptor in the Caribbean. And his name's Stanley Graves, if you ever look him up, right? And it's funny because he told me one time, he's like, only in America do you guys take so many damn pills, was exactly his language. He's like, in the Caribbean, if your knee hurts, you take 1 or 2 fingers of rum, right? And that's literally his answer. And, 1 for a nightcap. So, you gotta love culture, right?
Yeah, I'm just laughing at that. Yeah, I'm from the Midwest, man. So one or two handfuls of rum turned into a couple glasses, turned into a half bottle, and it's a fun old
Yeah.
time watching the Packers. So
It's like the old country song. It all started with a beer, right?
in my life, yes, that's correct. I've been clean for 9 months, but yeah, it all started with the beer, and then some other stuff came behind
That's
it.
where some of the best stories come from, though.
Man, you know what? And I don't want it. Everyone kind of hears my story all the time, but obviously I'm getting back in the dating scene, which is fine. But on the other side of it, I used to date. I'd never been sober dating before, so
Okay.
everyone's like, "Why aren't you unwinded?" I'm like, "Cause I would go bury myself in vodka just to kind of get me unwound." And then they're like, "You're still uptight." I'm like, "It's just me, guys. I need something else to kind of pull that away.
Yeah, you need a distraction is what you need.
I need a big business. That's what I need."
Well,
I don't
yeah,
want to say it that way, but those are the any distractions that I want in my life. I want it to not benefit me as a selfish way, but something to make it fun, interactive. Put all my time and effort into something building special or building something special. So
absolutely.
it's I instead of burying myself in that, I want something positive where I can kind of hold my hand back and help people out. So
Yeah, absolutely. That's how literally we got involved in digital marketing, to be honest with you. We we owned a jewelry store in North Carolina. I was waiting for my wife to retire from the army, and I was already retired. And I started a jewelry store because it was one of those things that you went from like yelling, screaming, cursing at everybody all the time, and walking around pissed constantly, right? To you actually got to help people in a stressful time of their life and bring happiness to them, right? And so one of the things that I've learned that actually trips a lot of people up is that all your major tasks that you want to learn have subtasks to them, but we just don't ever look at it that way. Like if you wanted to learn Facebook ads, that's great. You got to understand demographics, but then you have to understand buyer psychology, right? It's a subtask. And then underneath that, you have to learn how to copyright, right? Most people turn around and go, well, I tried Facebook ads and it doesn't work. Well, you didn't learn the subtasks, right? So of course it doesn't work because you don't know who you're talking to or how to talk to them. But so I took the time to learn, like how to rank in the maps and organically for our city and the jewelry, right? So then we applied it, and then, eventually somebody had asked me for help, and I didn't think much of it. And then they handed me like a $300 check afterwards, and even though it's only $300, I remember just looking at it going, this is a serious need, and this is like I could actually build this, right? And it's kind of like how I got started with this. So like what you're saying, if you want to contribute and you want to be able to like really help somebody, that's literally how we get started. I get thanked all the time from clients of like, wow, you actually take the time to explain things to me, and so I can understand it, and I appreciate you for that. Like we hear it all the time. We have clients that we've had for 4 years, which in our industry is totally unheard of.
yeah.
You know?
And the biggest thing is, and how I'm listening to this is you're actually like me on a few things where you take a big complex world and you just pull it away and kind of say, okay, hey, focus on this little thing first, go to the next little thing, go to the next little thing,
Right, right.
and make something so complex and make it kind of your own, but then simplified for someone.
But it is, but nobody ever teaches that. Like legitimately, they'll say, well, you need to learn how to do this, but they don't like explain to you like why they go together. They don't explain to you, like even our students, we get so many students and they love us and stick with us for a long time because, we turn around and say, well, where are you in your business? Well, then you don't need to learn that, right? Like what you need in the next piece is this. This is where your gap is. Does that make sense, right?
Yeah.
Like how many people do that? They just say, here's my course. Let me do a webinar and then go buy my course. It's not, let me get on a call with you. Let me get on a, because maybe, like all of our courses include mentorship. Like that's just how it is. Because if there's not mentorship in there, in my personal opinion, you can be a technician, but you're never going to transition into the business on it because you don't get the mentorship to help you get there.
Yeah, and I'm going to add in, I came out of the insurance industry a couple of years ago, and I was a big person that bought a course and learned it, but never applied it because you never had that mentorship. So I'm actually one of those statistics on that side of it that
Right.
went down that route. So no, I've dug deep into Facebook ads, but not fully. I've learned it from the classes where, like you said, it's like you do the first thing, you kind of go down, and then you forget about the copyright where you're kind of flipping it, you're going backwards up.
Right.
And that's where my head, it's just like the switch flipped. I'm like, wait a minute here. And I'm using this as a learning tool. But the Facebook ads is a huge gap that a lot of people don't
It's
look
huge.
at.
We actually use it to even grow our group. We use Facebook ads, right? So, I mean, most people are like, well, you can't do that. And technically you can't, but then, like your brain always has to ask that question that like my brain hates no. I don't know about you, but no drives me crazy, like legitimately.
Depends
Like,
on what it is, yes.
well, yeah, but I mean, in business, when I want to do something, I hate the word no. Like when a
Oh
client,
yeah, absolutely.
when a client tells me no, it drives me crazy. It becomes like, I want to know, like, why is it no? Is it that I didn't bring enough value? Did I not build a trust factor with you? Is it a price point because the trust isn't there yet? And then if that's so, then can we flip it around so then I can do it and then you pay me per lead? So then like all the pressure becomes on me. So that way we can start to build that trust, right?
Yeah.
Which I'm happy that it happens that way because I get paid more, truthfully, right? But the business owners don't care because then if nothing happens, there's nothing on them. But that's just like how my mind works. Like if you say it can't be done, there's got to be a way to get it done. And so I'm going to sit there and play with it like a Rubik's Cube until I get it, right?
And there's a lot of that when someone tells me I can't do nothing. So there's like an inner drive when I've been raised up from a very small, strong-willed mother.
Right.
And she drilled that into our heads so many times that if someone tells you can't do it, just go out and prove them wrong. As a good and bad way, but
right.
Pretty much it created that inner drive to be different, be goofy, and kind of
Sure.
break the mold. Nicely saying.
Yeah, like that comes back a lot from my Army days, honestly. Like, my mother, good and bad, right? She would tell me that, Michael, she'd say, you're so smart, you literally can do anything if you just try, right? But when you're young, that has no value.
Yeah.
Right. But the thing is that like when I got into the Army, I ended up in special operations. So, I was airborne, jumped out of airplanes. So, conquering fears was nothing, right? And that's literally where I learned that, like, if you told me no, you're going to make me angry. When you tell me that you got to work my way around, it became frustrating. Like everything is, if you're not the best, you're second best, and second best is the first of the last, right? And nobody wants to be in that place. So it was, I'm going to run farther, faster, harder, do more push-ups, do more sit-ups, just, I'm going to know my regulations better than you can. I'm going to tell you where the regulations are lacking, that, that the field manuals just don't apply, and, just become that soldier, right? And so that's where a lot of it comes from, just from that type of like being around those people that legitimately are the best in the Army, so it rubs off on you, really brings out that type A personality out, like majority of the things I really am, but at the same time, like when it comes time for credit, I don't really care where the credit lies, whether it's my employees or myself. I just assume them get it, so that way they're happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you're still delivering the task, and you're still taking care of everything. And
at the end of the day, I know where I stand, so it doesn't make any difference to me.
Yeah. No, my sister's in the Air Force. My cousins, I have 5 people that served in my family, so
Nice.
It's great. And then I actually have a buddy that so my cousin went to VMI, and my other buddy went to he's gonna kill me for saying this, but the other academy for the Army.
I'm at West Point.
Thank you.
Yeah.
He'll definitely pounce on me for saying that, because both VMI and West Point don't get along for some odd reason.
But VMI's got blood stripes on their pants, though, because they're the only military institute to ever engage in combat.
I will let him know about that No, so my cousin's actually, she just got out. She was supposed to be designed in the Pentagon, so she's doing all like the intel behind the scenes, processing, all that stuff, engineering stuff. So for me, they're very detail orientated. I'm very kind of jump in the fire orientated. So it's like a completely opposite spectrum of learning. I'm the do it, see where you messed up, get back up and do it again. Yeah. And then they're the analyze and then jump in type. So it's a very good mix between both sides for learning styles.
No, I'm with you. I tend to be the guy that stands there and watches you do dumb things for a little bit and go, okay, I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to go do it this other way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's usually how I do it. Like I'm one of those people that legitimately, like, if I see something new and I'm interested in it, I'll watch it for a little while and then go for there. So, we have a reputation management business that we're getting ready to launch next month. We have, a link management service that we just launched this last quarter. Q1 of next year, we'll be doing an Amazon, FBA Amazon business. But I already have a mentor, and that one, I already do all of his YouTube SEO. So I have free access to all of his courses and everything else. And also I get to talk to him every other week. So if I have questions, I get to ask him, point blank. So it doesn't make sense to pass up an opportunity like that.
Yeah, totally get it.
But at the same time, it took me, a couple months of doing his stuff before I decided that, we could figure that out in then Q1. So, yeah.
And on the other end of it is you build value in the relationship with them to where it's a mutual win-win.
Absolutely, yeah.
Versus you getting the credit, you getting whatever it is. Like some people, when they use people, they use them just for everything, and they kind of push them to the curb. So
right.
It's a very good mutual win-win interaction.
Absolutely, yeah.
So obviously, like I said, your Bulletproof SEO, which is the ultimate window up on top of everything, overlap everything. I know you were saying you're doing link servicing, SEO, all that. Without getting too in depth, or listeners don't need to know exactly what's on every avenue, but how many things are under this window besides the link servicing, the SEO, the Amazon?
So like I said, we also teach, right? And then like I said, everything has subtasks, right? Like if you said SEO, you have SEO that's away from the website, right? Like that interacts with other websites, and then you have SEO on the website. And then we also have local SEO, right? Which has the maps when you type in whatever in your city, right? Like let's say you're looking for, I don't know, you're an outdoors guy, so outdoor store, city, state, right? Yep. And then two of them come up like Dick's and something else usually. So in that area that you see in the maps, right, that's also a piece of SEO. It's known as Google My Business. Excuse me. So that's another piece that we do besides just the rankings of the website itself. So, there's that. There's, we manage Facebook ads. We do YouTube ads. We rank YouTube videos for people. So Google ads. So there's a lot underneath that umbrella, as well as we also do web development and, audit services. And I mean, we could go down many levels, but like you said, it gets a little dry once we do that. Like to us, it's just our bread and butter and what we do every day to make you look good, right? Yep. And that's really where we kind of get our kicks out of it, is the fact that we literally build $1 million businesses. We help them, also businesses, through mentorship as well. So you could say business consulting when they need it, but we also turn around and build out all of their marketing and advertising. So that way, all they have to do is close.
Which pulls a lot of stress away, because it puts them in the main focus of where they need to be, versus taking all those hats and put them on, then you lose focus exactly where you're supposed to be.
Right.
Common sense way of saying it.
Right. Yeah.
We're going to tear up here, especially when I went to church, just light bulb went off. Everyone's like, yeah, it's all these kids are getting raised up with devices in our hands and all that stuff. And then all of a sudden the 5G network kind of popped in my head. In China and all that stuff, where it's every 20 feet, 30 feet or whatever, there's little devices and stuff where it's all visual, vocal, and all that stuff. And my mind goes, if you're not going online building a business, lights out.
But that's what the thing is, right? That's what drives me crazy. You know, the internet's created more millionaires than anything else ever, period to end, like altogether, right?
Yep.
And people still talk about like how great real estate is. And real estate's fantastic, don't get me wrong, right? But you can make more money faster on the internet than you could ever dream of doing it with real estate. You know, like if you got underneath the right person, you could build a 7-figure marketing agency in 2-3 years tops, right? But the cool thing is you're keeping a third or more of that for your own pocket. But the hardest part is the mindset, right? Like truthfully. So the hardest part is going from the technician through the series of management all the way up through becoming a CEO of a company. That's like this huge transition because a lot of times we get so caught up. Like, remember when you said you wanted to do the stuff yourself?
Yeah.
It's limiting, right?
Yep.
Not that it's right, wrong, or indifferent. That's your thing. That's why would I ever step on it?
Yeah.
But in reality, you know, if you want to be this 7-figure, 8-figure person, you have to empower those underneath you. Like leaders build leaders, right? And so in building all these other people, we build up ourselves. Like I have these huge dreams that blow most people's minds away, right? Like, you know, like I want to build 1,000 millionaires before I die. You know, I want to set up a charity where I can walk into Washington, D.C., where I'm only 12 miles out of, and I can give away $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 on top of like, you know, different supplies to homeless people, right? You know, like whether it's feminine hygiene products or first aid products like Band-Aids and ointments, and, you know, just to make these people's lives better. Because you said you go to church, and, you know, like I believe that I was charged with this gift so that way I could bless other people, right? You know, not just my own. You know, like I'm achieving my dreams. You know, I remember I was in Amway when I was 18 years old, right? You know, and I remember this person would go, I want a 6,000 square foot house. And one person said, I want a 6,500 square foot home, right? And I was like, oh yeah, I want 8,500 square feet. Like, we want to turn around. Yeah, let's do it, right? And they're like, do you know how big it is? I can tell you firsthand right now how big it is because I have an 8,700 square foot home.
Yeah.
So I can tell you firsthand how big it is, right? You know, I mean, I have a movie theater room and stuff like that. But in the end of the day, that's not like what drives me. I think it's great. I achieved a goal, right? It's a silly goal in the scheme of things, but these other things actually drive me more, right? Like watching, there's a student that we have, his name is Michael, and he's been with us for 2 months. And in 2 months, we've shown him how to go from nothing to he's closed 4 clients now. Now he can see like the light at the tunnel, right? Now he can see he's only 6 months or less away from quitting his job, right?
Yeah. And you get so locked and laser focused too, because you see it all of a sudden, your brain wants more of it, and you just zoom right in.
I love it. You know what I'm jealous of, right? This is no joke. We closed, I don't know, like 5,000 clients last week, right? He closes a $1,200 client. His energy is through the roof, right? You know, I close a $1,200 client. I'm like, it's a transaction, right? And I look at him and I'm like, I want that again. Like, I want that again. Like, I remember that, right? And I get so charged up from watching them get so excited, you know, from they get their first lead to come in, you know, from listening to our courses and our mentorship to the actual closing, and like that gets me going. That's why, like today, I was up at 4:30 in the morning, you know, and that's what literally gets me going. Like that's like, what's today gonna bring? Who gets to turn around and do something else now?
Yeah. And you found your why. That's the biggest thing. And that's kind of how I'm teeing off a little bit too on my end of it. My why is a little driven because I'm watching people, and it's a little darker at the point, but I'm watching people in my class pass away from drug overdoses and then also cancer and all that stuff. It's going to occur. I mean, it's life. I get it. But to me, that light bulb went off. It's like, dude, don't be a damn stat. I don't want to be that stat. All of a sudden people are like, why are you working so hard? And then the light bulb just clicks off. I'm like, I'm working till 1:30 in the morning, 2 o'clock. I'm a night owl, just
Yeah.
because my work shift, or the shift I work out at work. But it's just, all of a sudden it's like the drive to go help people, kind of dig them way themselves out of not being a stat. It's actually more achieving than, whatever. I got a whole shitload of goals on my fridge. I'm just checking
Right.
off. Everyone's like, oh yeah, that's cool. Hey, congrats. I'm like, all right, whatever. Next one. And it's
Yeah.
I do celebrate, but it's
Yeah.
not, it doesn't get my jollies up versus just doing the work.
No, I'm with you. Like I love the journey. When people say, "Oh, well," like a couple people try to call me guru here and there, and I'm always very quickly to say, no, no, I'm a student. I'm forever a student, right?
Yeah.
Because there's always something I can be better at, right? Like I'm not. I might be really good at said task, but that also means that there's some that, even if it were to be above average, it still could use a lot of work to get to where it needs to be.
Yep.
And so I think that if we're always working on self-improvement, I mean, that's literally where we got where we're at, is that we literally focused on ourselves a lot, and as selfish as it seems, we decided we were going to be better, right? So,
And that's one thing I learned over the year, cleaning up and going down fitness. And I don't know, I do many different things. My life's kind of set up not as much as complex as yours yet, and I'm using the term yet because that's the road I want to go down.
yeah, you'll get there.
When you get there, it's almost like you get so used to your routine that people are like, how are you accomplishing so much? I'm like, it's just what we do. That's the road I'm at right now with my fitness, my daily routines.
You can't be one dimensional though, right? Like that's the whole thing that we teach our students, is that, like, I can teach anybody to be a master of business with time. Like,
Yep.
I mean, you could be dumb as a box of rocks, and it might take me 5 years to get you there, but I can still get you there, right?
Yep.
But what are you really doing for society at that point, right? Versus, I think it's better to, you had mentioned that you're going to start dating soon, right? So there's another dimension of you that you can work on and become better at, right? I'm sure you have family that you care very much about, and you could work at becoming better at communicating with them, right? Because eventually they're going to pass, and
Yeah.
you're not going to be able to, and you're going to wish you would have.
Yeah.
So why be like all those old people that say, I wish I would have done this, I wish I would have done that, I wish I don't wish, just go do it, right? And like legitimately today, it's like 12:45. At 3:15, I call it an early day because I gotta go take my granddaughter to Taekwondo, right? But I choose to do that myself, because if I don't, somebody else will. That means they'll get that time in the car with her, even though she's only 5, and they'll get to be close with her that I won't. She'll remember her papa as somebody who worked all the time, and I don't mind if she remembers me as somebody who works hard, right? But I also want her to remember the times that her papa took time off from work to be with her.
Yeah. And that's a total freedom that you gain by having a business.
Right. And that's the difference between, like, honestly being self-employed and owning a business, is that if I step out for a day, a couple hours, I mean, because honestly, I try to at least one full day a week totally unplug from social media, like everything. Don't look at Facebook, the million, like literally I get 30, 40 messages a day, easy, on a light day, right? So I try to like step away from all that, because it allows me to clear my mind, to come back and go, what matters? Where can I make money, right? Like, like in my agency, there's a lot of ways I can make more money, right? But which one's going to move me forward faster right now? And the only way you can ever do that is to step out of it.
Yeah, and I had that crash last week, so I totally what you mean. Saturday and Sunday, actually, I did not pop up my laptop for 2 days in a row.
Yeah.
I felt refreshed going into Monday. It's just, for some odd reason, it's just, you're not dragging on the highway.
And you're excited about going back too.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter if you're building the MLM, right? or if you're building a service-based business, or you're building a digital marketing business, or whatever it is, right? Unplug for a couple of days and go, what is it that's going to move my business forward the most in the next 5 days? And then go do that. Because we can all turn around and look at our email 15 times during the day and respond to everybody who responds to us as fast as we possibly can. But we don't really serve anybody that way.
Yeah. And here's the thing that people need to highlight, especially you guys that are listening to this: serve. That's know your why and serve. And that's what it's completely highlighting in majority of this podcast. It's just figure out and serve, like people first, not you, to a point.
I mean, because all that other stuff comes, like it does. Like, sometimes business will go up and sometimes business will go down, right? Like, in the very beginning part of COVID, our business went stagnant for the first 30 days. And then after about day 45, we started picking up again while we were watching the other agencies go to the wayside, right? And it's just, if you actually care about the other person on the other side and you do whatever you can to make things work, and it makes a big difference.
And yeah, I had a handful of people not lose their business, but had a stall. So there's a couple of them I know that are in clothing businesses, and she went completely backwards, and she's fine now, but yeah.
But check this out. This is what's funny is everybody's like, oh, COVID, fucking COVID, right? Like this and that. And it's like, great. What did you learn from it?
Nothing.
They'll be like, that it sucks, right? Like, what kind of bullshit answer is that? Let's be honest. What kind of bullshit answer is that?
Yeah, it's terrible.
How about it exposed your business's weaknesses, and you should say fucking thank you.
Yeah. I'm laughing on it because I think I'm one of the rarities like you, where people are like, so how did COVID treat you? And I'm not going to go too far into it, but I'm like, let me see. I got in shape. I got sober. I launched a podcast. I built Facebook. I positioned myself into a better life. I'm like, I used it as a positioning effect versus getting wrecked and looking at it as a negative. And to be selfish here, I am completely happy COVID came, because it completely drastically flipped my life around for the better.
Right. It makes me sad how many people have to get sick through this, right? Because even their own government won't pull their head out their ass. But let's be honest with each other, as a whole, it's been a phenomenal teacher. But the problem is that most people don't receive the lesson.
Yeah.
And like, look at the things like you said that you've done, right? We decided we wanted to teach students to do the things that because we always had a couple students here and there because people would approach us. But, we decided, what, let's launch this into a whole nother thing, because COVID, we realized very quickly, isn't going away anytime soon, and because we decided that, we said, let's turn around and let's start actually going after that piece of our business. And it's exploding, like legitimately. I get people asking me all the time when I'm going to start my next round of courses, right? I got one person already. He's emailed me today, said my money's ready. And I'm not even ready to launch the next round yet, right?
Yeah.
But it's because the thing is we show that the people are actually getting results too, right? Because they are getting results because we care, right? Not just give me your money, go away. That's why the mentorship goes into it also.
And that's and I'm going to answer the give me the money and go away. That's number one thing that I noticed, especially, and I'm going to throw my buddies under the bus here, but roofing, it's a little bit different because it's more of that they have customer base, but they're doing it so fast and so quick that it is give me the money and go away. I see one that's like, hey, I need to get paid. I'm like, yeah, and?
Right.
And it's like seeing two different, one's using it to build his real estate business and all that stuff, so like counteracts of trading and real estate and all that fun stuff. The other one's kind of sitting there building a snow plowing business, which I love both of the guys to death. They've taught me many great things about life. On the other, I'm just sitting there and he's like, well, I want to get off the roof. I'm like, they both want to get off the roof. One is drastically building a business, get them off the roof. The other one is, well, I'm still doing hard labor stuff. And I'm like, dude, slow. It's like transitioned into online or something, just so you don't have to worry about being on that roof all the time.
He doesn't have to be on the roof. Like, that's the whole thing, right? Like, that's where most people go wrong. And this is like when I was talking about your subtasks, remember?
Yep.
So he's still what I refer to as a technician. He's still up there pounding the nails, right? Even if it's his own company, he's still the one that goes out to every place, bids on every bid, turns around after he gets the bid, he turns around and goes up on top of the roof, right? His lunch break, he's going to go bid on another job so he can come back and he can get back up on the roof again.
Exactly.
But he's not willing to yet. He probably will with time, or he'll burn out. One or the other will happen. He's not making that transition, right? He's not making that transition of going from technician to self-employed, to from there moving to like the next level of like becoming self-employed / management through to business owner, right? Like in each section there's things he has to learn and master to go to the next level. And if you would just take the time to understand the subtasks, he would be like, oh, I never thought about it or saw it that way. And then he would turn around and grow and make those changes. Because nobody really wants to be on the roof forever, right? Because after a while, those belts get heavy, not to mention if he's actually manually carrying up those, the shingles, what are those 90 pounds a piece or something like that,
Yeah, that he's not doing. I'm
Yeah.
not going to say on the podcast who's doing it, but everyone knows.
No, that's all good.
Yeah, he subcontracts a lot of it out. But yeah, it's definitely it's a great learning tool between both of them, because you can kind of see which is good, which is better. And obviously on both sides of it, I wish one was, I could just teeter-totter and say, okay, one's really aggressive, the other one's very passive. So it's like you need to even it out on both sides of it. But
Sure.
The friendship-based and stuff is real heavy task-driven stuff. It's not the digital stuff. So I'm slowly getting into a digital one, especially with podcasting. You network with all kinds of people. So no, I definitely appreciate your time. Obviously, time's getting short here.
Sure.
I'm definitely going to keep in touch after here and learn more about the company. But where can my listeners go and figure out everything for themselves?
So obviously we have the SEO group if they're interested in that. We also have another SEO group that if they ever want to reach out to me on my personal page, that I'm happy to refer them to. It's Elite SEO Society. But yeah, essentially, if they want to just reach out on Facebook, that's probably the best way to reach me, honestly, because I'm on there a fair amount. Because even though not everybody's a paid student, they still have questions, and we still try to take the time to answer them.
Yep.
Because we try to be that value source. So that's probably the best way. We also own SEODC.net. They can, if they need to physically call us, they can look that up online, and they can reach us through that. I am that rarity that I still do answer the phone, right? Like even though there's other people, I still do answer the phone. So there's always that good chance you could get me.
And I love and respect that. I still have that side of me too. Everything's so Snapchat Messenger nowadays. You lose the emotion. I'd rather hear that voice on the other side and gain the emotion from it.
Yeah, I mean, everything like, meeting people almost doesn't exist anymore. Everything's over a Zoom call, right? But the flip side of that is at least you get to see the other person and hear their voice, as opposed to the text gets kind of old after a while.
Yeah, I really, really get that. I get that to a T, because especially nowadays in the dating world, it's pretty much texting and that's it. But we'll just leave it at that.
But don't get me wrong, I love that too, because like you have a question, right? I have an answer. I don't have to interact with you, ask you how your family's doing and everything else, because time's short.
Yep.
So there's a place for that. So we do that. And the other thing I do, just so, hey, the other thing that it's good for your listeners is set up a calendar and start to live by your calendar. Because what we do, even with our clients, is we force them to our calendars. If they call me and they catch me and I'm on the phone, if it's something quick, I'll answer it. If not, I'll tell them, look, whether I'm busy or not busy, I tell them I'm busy, and then they need to go to the calendar. Just so that way that 10 minutes doesn't turn into an hour and a half of time, and you can keep it on schedule that way.
Yeah, and I know you guys know kind of how mine's set up here with Calendly. I know I don't know if yours is kind of synced with
We do the same
Calendly.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So for all the listeners that want to do any Zoom related stuff, online related stuff, or just in general, I have my Gmail based calendar set up where I can throw in some time slots, working out, whatever, and kind of, block everything correctly. And then it's synced into Calendly. So if anyone wants an hour session, whatever it is, we just click the link that I have set up directly in there. And I'm sure it's the same thing with you. Just set up and this is the only tip that I learned last week because I overworked myself, but set up the time blocks where you want to have time off, and
Right.
Calendly will completely knock it out, and definitely put that on your schedule. So, but no, thank you, man. It's been a blessing talking to you.